All right. Today for our Atelier talk, we have Armen from the band Omcat. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing pretty well. The third time around, much better.
Yeah, Armen and I are getting this talk going today, and he's got the flicker lights up. Tell me about these flicker lights.
These flicker lights are Caitlin's contribution.
Hmm.
My sister, Caitlin, who's awesome singer-songwriter as well. She put them up in our room because the vibe.
Yeah, the little things.
There's a room with flicker lights, and then there's a room without flicker lights. And there's
Hmm.
an entire world of difference between those two rooms for an
Hmm.
artist.
Tell me more.
Just reminds you that there's more than just the blue wall.
Hmm. Hmm.
And you know what? Pretty decent background for an Atelier's talk. It's not that bad.
It's
So,
perfect.
you know, you got to use what you got.
Hmm. I listened to a guy named Jordan Peterson, and he says in order to heal your psyche, a really great thing you can do is to clean up your room.
All right. Yeah. I I know. I don't even I don't even think that that's right. I know that that's right.
Hmm.
Like I know that every time I'm out of sorts, my environment gets out of sorts.
Hmm.
Even if I'm not realizing it to myself, it's like easy to not have to be present in myself if I'm constantly running into a problem in the world around me that I've created, or if I'm constantly like, it's like the vagueness is out here and the messiness is out here, and it stops me from being able to like look inside clearly.
Hmm.
Like, as soon as everything's in order, I have nowhere to run from myself, because the only thing that's left that's messy, if I'm feeling messiness, is
Hmm.
this guy. But I relate to that a lot.
Dude, I had that experience the other day actually. I treated myself with something, an instrument, and like, man, I'll tell you more about it later. But man, when this instrument got delivered to me, I felt like a child. Like it
That's the
was
best.
so like clean and like well put together, and it smelled so nice that I just like went, it was a mirror. I just looked straight at myself. I think I like took a shower, like, right. I didn't even play the instrument. I just took a shower and I cleaned my room.
You respect it, honoring the gift.
It was like it's pure craftsmanship, and I felt like, man, this is a really good thing. And I wish like I could craft myself the way that this object has been crafted.
You might be. You might be, as we speak, in the process of being crafted
Hmm.
just the same way.
Hmm.
I think about that too. I'm like, sometimes I don't, what do I know what it looks like to be crafted into who I'm going to be?
Hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
like I may think that something I'm doing isn't part of that process. And then who knows, down the line, I might look back and be like, oh yeah, that was totally necessary. But at the
Hmm.
time, like, I'm like, oh no, this is a weird thing. Like, I feel like I'm not like as woke with this or that, or
Hmm. Hmm.
whatever it is.
Hmm.
But like, we're both being crafted right now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's for sure. And I think it would be really hard for the world to realize that it's being crafted right now.
Oh
But
yeah,
man, this situation with COVID is really changing the course of humanity.
yeah. I there's is a tragedy.
Hmm.
It's definitely a tragedy,
Hmm.
just because of like the sheer amount of like people suffering
Mm-hmm.
and like the sheer amount of confusion and like anger coming out
Yeah.
and the people that are dying, like bless their souls, like everyone who's suffering from this thing, and like the rest of us just actually get a chance to like look at what's going on for the first time in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Like probably so many people haven't stopped for years, and like now the whole world was stopped.
Yeah.
And like just like the messy room kind of thing,
Yeah.
you're like stuck with your like you were swishing around, and when you're
Mm.
constantly swishing around you can't tell that the water's dirty, but then the moment it stopped swishing around you got to see like, oh, there's a lot, like there's a lot of stuff here.
Hmm.
Like I think it's been good creatively. I'm grateful I have a way to express myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm afraid for everyone who doesn't have a way to express themselves,
Yeah.
because like that's too much,
Yeah.
you know. Like what do you do? I
Mm-hmm.
have no idea what that life looks like. Like
Mm.
what do you do when you don't have an art form? Like what do you do when you don't have somewhere to channel that energy?
Mm.
I mean, I guess you channel it into your life, but what does that look like? Like a lot of the stuff I channel into music, if I channel that kind of intensity into life, it might get a little crazy, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And I think maybe even some people feel like their expression got taken away during this time.
yeah, like I
Yeah.
haven't played out since the beginning of this.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Yeah.
that's something. That's a huge deal. Like we used to hang out every second Friday
Ah,
at the Republic of Pie,
that was
and it
one
was
of
like
my
the
favorite
I look
days
forward to that.
every month, dude. Ah,
This is the best. I tell people, like people on the street, like because I mean, I feel like, okay, so I'm a little bit of an exception probably because I'm crazy, and like
yeah.
I sang Bohemian Rhapsody to a bunch of people at Bank of America like yesterday
Good.
because they all just looked so sad
Good.
and like off. So I was in the car. I didn't like risk anybody's life or anything. I had my mask on. I'm in the car. I
Yeah.
turned my stereo system all the way up and I just
Yeah.
asked people, I'm like, what's your favorite song? And they're like,
Mm-hmm.
put anything, anything's good. So I just put Bohemian Rhapsody, and like life was like injected into a Bank of America like insane line to get to the ATM. Like there was suddenly what was dead was like revived,
You're the man.
just like joy. And like I had my sister Geffen with me and my brother Alejandro, and they were dancing and
Mm.
like singing with me, and like we just got people dancing and singing a little bit, like remembering
Mm.
that that's a thing that can be done,
Yep.
you know.
Yep.
And like I I've been playing we've been playing music for people who walk by on the sidewalk. Like
Mm.
we've literally been putting on sidewalk shows out
That's
here,
good.
and
Yeah.
we're like I see the resilience and like the tenacity of like artists to want
Yeah.
to perform. Like we'll find a way to do it
Yep.
no matter what is going on,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
even if it's like just for two people on the sidewalk every day, you know? And like
Yeah.
you with like I see all the stuff that you do. Like these talks are another thing. Like
Gotta do it.
basically like not taking no for an answer,
No.
you know? And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, do I need to adapt? Okay, well, I have to express myself to live, so like I will adapt. Like it's not even a question.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
it's super cool.
Yeah. Yeah. A couple
But I
shows
do
got
miss
canceled.
playing music with you.
Mm-hmm.
I miss
Yeah.
playing music with you guys. There's nothing like that.
Yeah, I miss playing out too. It's definitely different, and I think people got used to like having that option, even if they didn't go out to a show here and there. they had the option to, and just to know that that was a thing that they could do was important. I feel like this whole situation just injected people with more fear, and
Yeah.
like we're facing fear on a level that we've never experienced before. And I think we were already like dealing with insecurity because of social media and all of the questions that are being asked right now. But then this thing just straight up was like, okay, let's take that insecurity and like just give it a big dose of fear. Like just fear of like death, right? Everyone's dealing with death right now. And fear of like connection, fear of like being able to touch anyone or like
Yeah.
look at anyone.
Intimacy, like
Yeah.
basic human intimacy, like being able to see someone smile.
Hmm. Yeah. Face is gone. Wow. Woo. It's a big
I
loss. It's a
I
big
try to
L.
smile at I try to smile at people through the mask, and then I realize that all they're seeing is like, like they're just seeing that. I'm like, oh man, I hope you don't think like, I don't know. I hope you're not freaked out by the fact that I'm like trying to smile at you with my eyes, I guess now.
Your eyebrows go up when you smile? Do mine? No, mine don't really.
A little
My
bit.
eyes change a little bit. Yeah, a
Yeah,
little
I know
bit.
my eyes get like all squinty, you know.
Mm-hmm. Uh, yeah. Yeah, dude. What a time. I like that. We're just completely embracing this right now, like all the pain from this. Because you're right. Like a lot of people are experiencing creativity, like positively, maybe, right? And like maybe they're able to clean up
I
and
hope so.
do some things that
Yeah.
they had on their list and that they would have just never got around to, right? Because they were just on the go, boom, 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 like going to a bar, boom, next day, like going to going to work, which is like 2 hours away, like, right? A lot of people aren't commuting right now, which might be a positive for people. Um, but I think, especially with the second hit of like, all right, we're re-locking down. I think it's just like, wow, this is so real. It's like it's really real, and
Yeah.
like the adjustments that we made might not be so temporary. Like we might need to be able to make those adjustments like on a whim at any time.
What yeah, it's kind of like you have to live in surrender kind of
Mm-hmm.
like not
Mm.
I was just when this whole thing happened, I couldn't stop laughing at first. I was like horrified, but I was like cuz I was so in a positive like I felt like I was in such a place of positive momentum. Like I was playing at a restaurant a couple times a week.
Yep.
Consistently we're playing at Republic of Pie.
Yep.
We were scheduling shows here and there, putting shows on. Like I had a lot of like acting work coming through, and like it's all very exciting. Like join the union. I'm like, oh man, that's cool. Like I'm gonna do that stuff. And
Mm.
there was just a lot of like what I felt like professional or like career momentum,
Yep.
which all kind of belongs to that world. Like if nothing changes, then this is the way to go. And then it all just derailed, and I just
Yeah.
couldn't stop laughing because I was like, I have no power here. Like I have no
Mm.
control ultimately
Mm.
over anything. Like 1 minute you're going one way, 1 minute you're going the other way, kind of deal. I
Yep.
was like, well, I guess I'm just gonna like hunker down at home and write a ton of songs. And like
Mm.
do what's funny about it too is like because I live with so many people and we're all like on artists like we're all artists, so it's kind of like being in a collective 24/7.
Mm.
um there's so many projects that we had together that we weren't putting time into because we were each independently doing things out in the world, that being stopped like that like
Mm.
created the opportunity for us to actually attend to all of those like passion projects.
That's right.
Like
Yeah.
so that's kind of crazy, but I just remember that like hitting me so much, and it still hits me that I'm like there is no like the world needs what it needs. We're going through a pandemic. This is unprecedented in like the the technology we have while the severity of the conditions going on and like the confusion that's like the blundered response, or like maybe there's too much like individualism or whatever, maybe there's too much like whatever is going on, that we couldn't just all put on masks for
Mm,
2 months straight and shut everything
mm,
down and like end this thing, which is like theoretically right what they said would work. The
yeah,
like all this CDC doctors or whatever, like all the like expert consultants are like, well, you
yeah,
could, if everybody followed the guidelines, then this thing wouldn't continue to exist.
yeah.
But it's nuts. It's just nuts. Like, gotta make the best out of it. It is scary. I had COVID scare like 2 weeks ago.
Mm,
Because I came into contact with somebody who had it, and then I found out that they had it, and then I had to go get tested.
mm,
And then I was like, oh man, like, because there's a couple people in my home that are high risk. I'm one of them as well. So I'm like, can't live in fear though, you know?
mm.
Take all the precautions, but don't live in fear kind of situation. But it was like, it did make it a little bit more real where I'm like, this sucks, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Did you get results back yet?
I did negative. Thank,
Dude,
thank the universe.
yeah, man. Good for
And
you.
yeah, and everybody I came into contact with got tested. Like I called people and like told people, and they all
Mm-hmm.
got tested and they were negative as well, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
But and then I started freaking out because I'm like, well, you know what? If I died right now, I haven't left my mark. Like I had that feeling.
Yeah.
Like I haven't etched something in the stone. I haven't like permanently uploaded one of my songs into the cloud forever or something. You know what I
Mm,
mean?
mm,
Like I haven't made a vinyl recording that's like sitting there waiting for like some kid in 100 years to find it and play it and go like, you know what, this is kind of cool, I like this like makes me
mm,
feel a certain type of way, like inspired. um
mm.
and then I don't know, it was a weird thought to have where I was like, oh man, like that's some kind of like primal urge to like leave, like, hey, I exist, I existed, I
Mm,
had feelings about things, like I had something to say about it,
mm,
and I had a particular way of saying it, and I hope it meant something to you, or I hope it means something to you,
mm.
because it meant something to me when somebody gave me that. Like music saved my life when I was like, still today, but like when I was younger, especially, like the effect that it just has to inspire.
Yeah.
I want to be a part of that so bad. I was freaking out. I'm like, oh man, I haven't fully done it yet. But then that's
Mm,
the same thing we were talking about earlier. It's kind of the same thing where like, well, I haven't been crafted into who I need to be. But I'm sure that if I was to get COVID and or something happen, or like, there's something, anything can happen to me, then whatever I was supposed to do, I must have done it.
mm.
You know, maybe it's just my idea that I'm supposed to do it a certain way or a certain thing. Because
You've
like
done. Mm,
there were two kids I was playing at the restaurant before COVID, and then two little kids. Like this one little kid, I don't know if I told you the story. She shook down the entire restaurant to get me tips.
I
And
think you did tell me that.
she wouldn't stop talking. She's like, hey. She just go up to people like, hey. And they're like, what?
So
They're like,
good.
do you hear him?
Yeah.
They're like, he's so good. They're like, you're doing so. And she would turn around and she's like, you're so good. She's like 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah.
She's like, you're just doing a great job. And she was like the most supportive,
Oh,
like number one fan in the whole
oh
world. Like
man.
I was like crying. I'm podcast Atelier's talk with Nathan. Alex says hi, Nathan.
What's up?
Um, and then she shook down the whole restaurant. She went through everyone at her table to get tips to give to me. And then she started just going up to people and going like, hey, do you have anything? Like this guy needs, like, she was like, he needs money, like to live. And like, he's so good. I love him. And She ended
Uh,
up taking a picture. Like before she left, her
yeah.
mom came up to me and was like, "Yeah, she wants to ask you something." And she came up to me. She's like, "Can I take a picture with you?" I was like, "Absolutely."
Wow.
And like her and her little brother just took a picture with me. They're like, "You're the best music man," and they left.
Hmm.
And like maybe that's all I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
You know, who
Yeah.
knows? Maybe that's it.
I mean, dude,
And
you've left such an impression on me, and I know Sam and Brandon and Dan too. I mean, yeah, just showing up every month at Republic Pie and being yourself with the guys. I mean, dude, we look forward to that night. I mean, that night keeps us alive, keeps us going in a very serious way. So, but it's crazy, man. I know what you're talking about. Just like, did I do enough? And yeah, and but I feel like that same feeling is what helps us to survive life. And right, no matter like so when you're alive
yeah,
and when you know you have the potential to continue being alive, I feel like at least for me personally, I'm never not gonna feel that way. Like I'm never gonna be satisfied because I know there's something to do because
yeah.
I'm alive. And as far as I can tell, I'm gonna be alive for the next whatever. um, but yeah, but I think like rest and satisfaction and like being able to settle in who you are and who you've been is probably really important, right?
I I think so. I mean, I know so for
Yeah.
myself at least, because I just maybe like 2 days ago, for the first time in my life,
Mm.
said that, like, with all my heart, I said to marry my fiance
Mm.
that all I want to do for the rest of my life is make music and like
Mm.
create art. And I was just kind of having a breakdown, which was like a collection of like just a bunch of keys being turned in my heart over the last few months, and then like they all
Mm.
unlocked the door at the same time, like little events taking place that were each like one key. Like that's how I see it, at least. Like it's like a 12 key door or something, and like each little event that took place was one of those keys, and then it just opened up
Mm.
the other night. And
Mm.
I was like, to claim that like i I'm an artist, like, because I love art, you know and like I'm so happy with the idea, and like so thoroughly overjoyed through my entire soul, and scared of
Mm.
saying, and scared of owning and like showing up for that reality, that like this is what I want to do
Mm.
forever. For like, I want to give back this gift
Yep.
that was given to me, that means so much to me. And like, I don't want to hide behind, like, I've done so much, so many other things in my life, and like always had my like I've always played music, and I've always sang, and I've always done all this stuff as well. But it's kind of been even if it was out here and I was performing for people, it was always kind of as a I was raised with it, that it's a side that's a
Mm.
side thing. Like
Yep.
that's a side aspect
Yeah.
of your personality.
Mm.
And I wasn't like really accepted for
Yep.
being into music, being into art, being into like, I was kind of raged at about it, actually, in the
Mm-hmm.
family that I come from, and actively attempted to be dissuaded out of it constantly.
Mm.
Um, because both of my parents were artists who never got to, like, they were artists when they were younger, and then
Mm.
they didn't get to, like, they didn't end up becoming, like, they just took the other routes, you know,
Mm.
and that sucked. And like, so I don't know. For me, there's a lot there to like just accept that this is what I love,
Mm.
like to ask for the help that I need from
Mm,
people around me. Like, I know I called you yesterday and I was freaking out a little bit. Like just to be open to like not putting on a show and to be open to like not pretending like I have it all together and I'm this guy who knows that he does this and like I know everything about how I'm gonna do music and like I need that. Like, no, I don't know. I'm learning. I'm learning and like I need help. I realized
mm,
that if it would have worked by myself, it would have happened a long time ago.
mm,
I need so much help, even if it's just like emotional support from people. Like even if it's someone making me lunch right now because they know I'm gonna be hungry when this podcast is over. Like that's
mm.
that amount of support that I didn't have most of my life towards this, like towards the truth of who I am. You know,
Yeah.
um, that means the world to me, and then it like nourishes me and allows me to like create
Yes.
more. And like there
Yes.
was definitely a time in my life where I felt that the pain is what allows me to create, or like the suffering is what makes my art
Mm,
super cool. And like that was all the time when I was wrapped up in that suffering and like I didn't really see a life for myself outside of it. Like I just wanted to kind of be a legend that like some people knew, you know.
yeah.
I wasn't really long for life. Like I've had some crazy stuff happen, you know.
Yeah.
And I've told you about some of it, but it's so different like when I actually chose to like, okay, I'm going to affirm my own life and I'm going to affirm life in general.
Mm,
And like, I'm not just like trying to have as good a time until I die or something, you know, like I'm actually like, I seek to live and I seek to inspire for a long time, like not just be like martyred to existential crisis, you know?
mm,
Um, then I felt like I've written so much beautiful music and
mm.
I've created so much art from a place of the risk of that intimacy with life,
Yeah.
like just straight up like to risk being like, hey, like I don't know how any of this is gonna go, and like to have that support and like that fragility that's involved in like needing that support and the vulnerability that's involved in like being in my heart or more of my heart and like journeying to get access to more of it,
Mm-hmm.
because like it's never stopped being deeper. Like as long as I've journeyed farther into life, it's never like I've it's never stopped. Like I haven't hit a wall of emotion. Like I can think about the same things or I come up against the same things and it like same traumas or same joys of my life or same whatever it is, same experience. I could
Yeah.
go back to the same experience or have it again and again.
Mm,
But if I'm continuing to grow, it's not the same experience, even if it's like literally talking about the same thing, even
yeah.
if it's the same song that I'm listening to.
Mm,
I have a completely different emotional response, like depth of perception, understanding with it. They're like, it's, it's nuts. It's mysterious, you know?
yeah.
It's mysterious and it's kind of sacred and it's kind of beautiful.
Mm-hmm. It
And
sounds
it's what,
like you act on your intuition or like your gut.
yeah, a lot, a lot. And like with music too, a lot. Like, cause I don't know a lot of theory or anything. Or,
Mm,
like I've learned basics over time, but like I don't really know. Like I can't really tell you a lot of the stuff that I'm doing. Like I can't break down like, oh, this is a 4-5-1 and like this key with this like mode change. Like I don't my brain is not that way.
mm-hmm.
It's kind of like, oh, this feels right. This feels right here. This kind
Yeah.
of rhythm wants to come out.
Mm,
And like I experiment until I find it. And like
yeah. And it seems like you've found some like miracles doing that. Like you've stumbled upon things that you would have never reasoned your way to getting there. Like you could have
yeah.
never rationalized a way to get there. It just you kept following that unknown intuitive feeling and then you landed on something that surprised you and that you loved.
You've heard this song. that we play as Omcat band when we play G. You've heard that song?
Yeah.
I only had the first riff of that song,
Mm.
and then when it was Troy and my friend Shane was in the band, and my friend Jordan were in the band, and then we were called Lunar Majestic. Then it was a little bit different, but I was
Uh-huh.
introducing that song, or we were just riffing on that riff,
Yeah.
and they didn't believe it would go anywhere. Like Jordan and Shane were like, "Oh, that riff, like just let it go, man. It's not going anywhere. Like there's nothing's gonna come out of that riff.
Mm.
Like it doesn't." And I just felt I'm like, no, there is. It's just asking me to follow it and give it
Mm.
the like time, like just the time and attention and like intention, I guess.
Mm.
And it will unlock itself. Like that's how I feel about all the songs that I write. Like I didn't really write them.
Yeah.
Like I discovered them. Like they exist. They just exist. And I discover them.
Mm.
Like I feel like I'm kind of like an archaeologist or something. Like I find a little bit of it and then like sit there and I'm like, okay, like
Mm.
and like everything I try is just like me like cleaning up more of the ground and dirt or whatever around something and like then
Wow.
it reveals itself. Like more of it's revealed and more of it's revealed and then
Wow.
there's the song. And like that
Mm.
song is a completely awesome song in my opinion. Um
Mm.
and then it's just funny because if I had given up, I'd have never had it, you know?
Mm.
And I think about that with everything. Like there's so many times I wanted to give up, or if I like gave in to like people saying like you should give up on that. I'll just give up on that. Like that's not,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Even when I started to sing, I didn't sound good.
Mm.
I didn't sound good at all.
Mm.
Actually, people tell me to shut up all the time.
Mm.
Um, like I think like, oh man, if I gave up on that,
Mm.
that would suck. We would have never met.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we would have never met. I would have never experienced the first time listening to the Ateliers of Republic of Pi, like straight up like being put into my heart and like crying with my then girlfriend, now fiance, like going like, oh my god.
Wow.
We were just like looking at each other and she's looking at me and she has a look like when she looks at me and like something's moving her like to the core. And she like looks at me and her eyes are kind of wobbling like anime eye wobble kind of thing.
Mm.
I'm like, oh, and then she just like fell into my arms. Like, this is so beautiful. I was like,
Oh
yeah,
man.
it is. This is a secret. I had the feeling I'm like,
Mm.
this is a secret in the world. Like
Mm.
we are a part of a secret. Like this is very rare. This is very beautiful. No one who's not in that room at that time is experiencing this or will ever get to experience what happened. And I'm like, that's exclusive. Like
Mm.
that's bougie. Like eternity was. Like to me, I'm
Yeah.
like, that's a
That's right.
privilege,
Yeah.
you know.
And you guys brought the kit into that place like before I think anybody did. Really, you guys were the first. There might have been someone before I was booking that tried something crazy, but you were the first one that I trusted because I was like, I don't want to hear drums in this coffee shop. Like, because when I first got hired, the owner was like, dude, you can bring in metal, rock, whatever. Just bring in, like, just bring people. And I was like, what? Like, that's kind of crazy. Um, so I knew I had, like, I could if I ever wanted to, but it had been months and I never saw an opportunity that actually made sense. And then you guys came in and I was like, oh yeah, like just do an acoustic thing. And I heard you guys like how sensitive you were and how you guys were like listening and like paying attention to how people felt as you were playing. And after that first time, I was like, bring the drums.
I'm glad
And
we
then,
did. Thank you.
yeah. And that was it, man. And as soon as you guys started playing with the drums, like people, instead of just hanging out by the bar, they went into that whole area and were like, wow, this is like, I'm actually watching like a performance right now. And saw a lot of people just having fun and really enjoying it. So thank you, man.
Thank you, Cameron.
Yeah.
Sorry, my microphone kind of got super loud right there. Gotta adjust. Okay.
It's hard to sing over drums though, man. You have that voice, where you can really, yeah, push through and cut through the mix even in a place like that, right? Because you don't have like compression on your voice or like things that
Yeah.
can help with that. It's just like the room. But yeah, man, you really project when you sing. Do you like do
Thank you.
warm-ups? Have you kind of learned like
Um,
theory about singing or anything like that, or how do you get to where you are?
I've had now because of Caitlin, because she
Hmm.
started teaching. Same person responsible for these twinkling lights,
Dope.
responsible for starting to teach vocal lessons at home, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Because of her, I've had two vocal lessons in my entire life now.
Yes.
Um, the first one I had was because we had when I was going to high school, which is where Troy and Cameron and I met, and we were
Hmm.
part of a band there. We were part of like jazz band there, but our jazz band was like super cool, like
Yeah.
future, like it was just before it was ahead of its time because it wasn't
Hmm.
like like straight jazz. It was like, yeah, you guys want to put distortion on? Go ahead, put distortion on. Like, go ahead, like this fusiony kind of like
Yeah.
super dope group. Like our teacher, Kupka, Mr. Kupka, Greg Kupka, Craig Kupka, Craig Kupka, I think. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm always mixed up his first name, but he was like all about the groove. He was like, hey, like theory, that's another class.
Hmm.
You always say that.
Yeah.
Theory's another class.
That's funny.
Like if you want to learn theory, like take my theory class. But this is combo. Like this is
Hmm.
jazz band. Like this is rock band. And there was a class called rock band that he started there back in like 1996 or something.
Hmm.
And my oldest brother biologically was the first kid in that class.
Yeah.
And I was the last kid in that class, which I think is super cool.
Yeah.
Like it started with him, and like he inspired me a lot to become a musician because he was a rocker and
Hmm.
super cool musician when I was growing up, and still is. I don't know. He doesn't. I don't know how well he's pursuing it now, but um, yeah, like he would focus on the groove, and then the first vocal lesson I got ever was because the choir teacher saw me singing at a rock show because our class that class was basically you just rehearse every day. Like you make schedules, you make bands with, and you rehearse,
Hmm.
and then you have to put on 3 shows a year at the
Nice.
school, and you have to promote for the show, and like
Yeah.
you have to do the setup and breakdown and like everything.
Yeah.
Like you're just responsible for being a show person, like a musician. You're gonna put on a show,
Yeah.
and she saw me singing, and she saw that I was struggling a little bit, and she was like, "Hey, can you stay after class for like 10 minutes
Hmm.
and let me give you some pointers?" I was like,
Yeah.
"Sure."
Hmm.
And what she told me changed my life because I
Yeah.
used to breathe through my nose when I was singing. She's
Hmm.
like, that's not gonna work. Like if you're out there trying to sing, you're wondering why you're having a hard time. If you're breathing in through your nose while you're singing, you're just not getting enough air,
Wow.
and you're not able to like. It just changed. It just changed. Like I was able to hold notes longer. I was able to switch faster, like
Hmm.
through notes and stuff, and like just the simple, you know,
Yeah.
just the amount of air you get in, you know. And like I was like, oh, I never thought about that. Wow, this
Hmm.
lady, super helpful. And then she was like, "Yeah, you gotta use your diaphragm. Like, don't try to push out the notes through your throat. Like, make sure you like feel that your diaphragm's being activated. So just be mindful of that."
Yeah.
And then she's like, "That's it. Like, just these two things. Okay, go, go.
Boom.
Like, you'll be great. You're doing great." And I was like, "Okay." She's like, "If you ever want to listen with me, like, you have to schedule it." And then, of course, I'm rock band student. I'm like, no lesson. Like, don't worry about it. And then yeah, I kind of taught myself. Um, I taught myself singing,
Hmm.
but my mother, biological mother, she's a wonderful singer. And she used to sing like operas and stuff like that, and like she used to put on shows with all the Armenian like she sang with all like the major Armenian singers
Hmm.
of her time, I guess, because she was going to college and like the colleges would be involved and stuff.
Hmm.
But she never got to pursue that dream. unfortunately, all the way through, or she didn't pursue it. I don't, one or the other. I'm
Yeah.
sure a combination of both. But so there's that like biological favor
Yeah.
aspect, but nobody really taught me, and I kind of taught myself by listening to my favorite bands,
Yeah.
singing with them,
Yeah.
and then I would set up. I had Audacity at the time. My brother gave me Audacity, or like he showed me Audacity on the laptop, and then I would record myself singing to the
Mm.
song, and I would listen to myself, and then I would listen to the song, and I would see what was off and where it was off, and if I couldn't understand something, I'd just slow it down, like
Mm.
back when we were using Windows Media Player, you know, and it had the option on the corner, like, would you like slow it down, like the little
Yeah.
turtle,
Yeah, the turtle.
and then you go like halfway down, or like
Yep.
a full thing down, full step or whatever, like
Yeah.
It said 0 to 1. I have no idea what it means, but basically, I'd put it like halfway, or 75% of the way down, or 25% of the way down, and like listen to what the dude was doing in his voice. And mostly I was listening
Mm.
to like Thrice. I don't know
Yeah.
if you've ever heard that band.
Yeah, of
They're
course.
super good. I love them.
Yeah.
Like
Amazing.
very huge influence on me.
Yeah.
Um, Dustin Cancer's awesome lyricist, awesome musician. Um, but yeah, I'd try to like sing along
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
Artist in the Ambulance or whatever.
His
And then,
voice is crazy too. The range, like so many different techniques. He's like yelling and
yeah,
singing high, and then he'll do the like low chest voice as
yeah, it's
well.
kind of nuts. It's kind of,
And the lyrics too, like just the way he enunciates things. That's cool, man. That makes sense to me though. That makes sense that you're
listen to a
influenced
lot
by
of,
him. Yeah.
yeah, a lot. I was like, oh, this is the
The
best.
lyrics are very thematic too. They're
Yeah,
he's a story or they are like story makers, right? Every album seems to be connected to something else. Kind of like I really loved what you were talking about, you being an archaeologist, just slowly digging away little treats in the earth.
yeah. Or
It's
like
so beautiful.
being a radio tower waiting for the frequency to hit you, like a
Yeah.
tuning fork or whatever. It's like the same kind of vibe. Like,
Mm.
oh, I kind of think I have it. And then, where does this go? Where does this go? And like, Cameron wrote a song. I
Yeah.
helped him record a little bit yesterday, like a scratch track that he had wrote just the first part of like 8 months ago, and then he hadn't touched it again until 3 days ago. And
Mm.
him and Caitlin finished the entire. It's like a 5 minute song,
Yeah.
like has everything, like goes has bridge, pre-chorus, chorus, like everything came through,
Mm.
but it came through spontaneously 3 days ago when it started 8 months ago. So it was like,
Wow.
kind of gives me like, I kind of think about it like songs are living things,
Mhm.
and like they reveal themselves, like whatever it is, like it just reveals itself.
Mm.
And then when you're
Mm.
paying attention, I guess, and you write it down,
Yeah.
I'm like,
Like a
you,
voice memo.
yeah,
Like
or
what you were talking
yours.
about. Just like listening to old voice memos. I wonder like if I didn't have those things recorded, if I would ever go back to a lot of songs, because we've gone back to songs and like decided to completely re-record them in the studio, which is a lot of time and investment. It's a big decision when we do that.
Yeah,
Mm.
that, absolutely. Just the time alone,
Yeah.
and like
but
the
but you
psychic
go back
effort.
and you're like, that was important. Like it's still like obviously it was affecting me 3 to 5 years ago or whatever, right? And then it's like, wow, this is still affecting me today. Maybe this is worth like recording
Yeah,
because it might last. Yeah, I feel like we're always looking for something that could last forever. Like you were saying, like pass something on.
yeah,
And so if it affects you in a 3 to 5 year time span, I feel like its potential to always affect you is greater. And then you're like, ooh, I want to record that like nicely. And then so every time I do want to go back to that feeling, I can actually go back to like a proper, and you have potential to reach beyond yourself.
I feel like it's like actually respecting that feeling,
Mm.
like on a
Mm.
different level, you
Mm.
know, like to take the time to write a song about it.
Yeah.
I'm like, it seems like kind of like a ritual to me.
Mm.
Where I'm like, I'm actually paying respect to an a thing that happened and like my reflection of it and like how it affected me and like that past me that experienced it and wrote that song. Like when I go through voice memos and I hear stuff that I've forgotten about, I'm like, oh man, like there's a young Armen who's like stuck in this box right here
Yeah.
for now, who's like trying to get me to like, hey, this is what I was feeling. Like
Uh-huh.
this happened. Like
Mm.
this is my heart. Like this is my heart.
Mm.
And like I feel now I feel more responsible to like bring that through.
Do you delete
You
stuff?
know? Rarely. No, actually.
Mm.
I have lost a lot of stuff and
Mm.
which was heartbreaking when like something happens to your phone or the backups get messed up or like I lost maybe 2 years worth
Wow.
of
Okay.
like GarageBand files and
Mm-hmm.
like there was a back when I had an iTouch, I used
Mm.
something like a program called Studio Mini,
Okay.
and like there were a bunch of songs on there, and then the computer that I left when I left my parents' home had a bunch of songs on there that were super cool
Yeah.
that I wanted to get back to one day, and I don't even know if they're there anymore. But like I've lost a lot of stuff, but I definitely haven't deleted
Dude.
anything besides the first like 100 takes of some.
Oh, so you always have like at least one version of
Yeah.
something. Dude, I delete so much stuff, man.
Oh no.
I gotta tell you, bro, I
Why?
delete
I'm
stuff.
glad you're telling somebody.
Dude, I'm
You
not.
shouldn't do.
No, bro, I have to. I have to. I delete so much
Why?
stuff.
And what drives you
Dude,
to delete it? Like to erase it from the earth?
I
You
don't
know what I
I
mean?
don't want to remember that version of myself.
Oh,
I don't, not that I don't, because I can probably remember at any time, but I do feel like memory is a tool, right? And if every time I go through my voice memos, because sometimes I just go through all of them.
yeah. I haven't done that. I
Well,
haven't
you have
sat there
too
and gone through
many.
all of them,
It
but
probably would take forever because you don't delete stuff.
I just go through some at a time.
Yeah, but and so start realizing like I'm going through points of my life that I don't want to go back to. Like I don't want to remember, I don't want to think, I don't want to like re-feel that way and like revalue those things I was valuing because now after years or whatever it's been, I no longer see that that was the right path. I shouldn't have held those things because I feel like a song, at least for me, a song is like it's respecting a thing, right? And so when I, like what you said, and so when I choose what to respect, I basically put it on a platform. Like I put it higher than everything else. And then the more time you choose to record it or invest in it, play it, you just keep lifting it, right? You just keep lifting that song or
Yeah.
that idea and that concept. And so as I lift and like increase those things that I do hold highly and that I do want to share, I also have to just like trash the things that weren't important. And a lot of what I wrote, dude, was just not, I wasn't in a good place. And so
I
it
can see
almost
that.
like, I definitely sometimes do it in like a passion way. Like I'll get really emotional and I'll have like a bad day and then I'll go through and I'll just delete stuff. Um, but I've never regretted it, dude.
That's good.
I thought that I would, but it always makes me feel better.
If it works, if it
Dude, if it
works, it
works.
works.
If it works.
If it works, it
Maybe don't
works, you
delete
know?
everything, but I might recommend you try deleting one thing you're no
Oh
longer
man.
proud of.
Um,
Do you have anything you wouldn't be proud of?
that's the thing that I come up to is that like inner conflict right there where I'm like, oh man, I don't really what happens, I just don't show those recordings to people often.
Okay.
I'll 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 try to avoid them,
Hmm.
you know. But then
Hmm.
again, I'm terribly disorganized when it comes to my voice memos and my
Hmm.
recordings. I've just now started getting organized that I'm like using Ableton and stuff. Like
Yeah, man.
otherwise everything says dope jam or like come back to this or like some kind of atmospheric word that meant something to me in that moment that I was like, for sure I'll know what this song is about.
The Revelation
Yeah,
chorus.
yeah, it's like it's stuff like that. Like my relationship with myself with that is just it's improving right now.
Cloudy magic.
We can I can go through some of it right now.
Please, dude. Please,
Let's see.
I'm gonna keep getting some of my own while you the fiery guitar solo.
Math folk.
Dude, there it
Math
is.
folk riff. Cool math folk riff. Good folk song waiting for you.
Whoa.
Okay. Dope math riff number 7.
There's 7 dope math riffs.
This one just says riff. Riff with melody. Great new song, May 16. Okay.
It's great. Definitely
New
come back to it. It's
yeah.
great.
Yeah. I leave like please, please,
You're
like
just
please
trying to get yourself to come back to it.
because it's just so much. I never do it. Like I was listening to
Mm,
some stuff in here that I couldn't like I was like, oh my god, that's super cool. Did I write that? I'm like, that
mm,
sucks because I'm gonna have to re-engineer that
yeah.
because I don't know what I did. I didn't write it down. I just
Yeah.
recorded it. I'm like, and then sometimes I get frustrated. I'm like, what is this guy doing? Like
Hmm.
I'm sitting there trying to recreate a song, and I'm like, what am I doing right
What
there?
did I
Like what?
do?
And that's the thing is like it was
Yeah.
inspiration, and I might have been better in that moment than I would be if I was trying to piece it together right now because it was just
Exactly.
flowing.
Yeah.
Um,
Relearning something stumps my creativity more than anything.
more riff, April 1st, more riff.
More. More.
Riff for the end of the way that you move, which is like, what did I decide to call? And then riff, Matthew Dope, new part for Lo-Fi 1, Lo-Fi Riff 1.
Yeah. All right. I
You know what I
think,
mean?
I think,
It's just like this. And then the rest are
and it
just the
continues.
address. The rest
Yeah.
are just the address, 1227.
Oh, because that's like the default that voice memos does.
So, and then
Yep.
it's, yeah, it's like
So
that.
that's even worse.
But I do commit right now on this
Yes.
podcast
Yes.
to going through these and then naming them appropriately to what they belong to,
Yes.
digging through and like pulling out whatever is asking to
Yeah.
be fully rendered into reality and like not just stuck digitally inside
Yeah.
the
Dude, and
electrons of this box.
possibly deleting the things you know aren't going to become something. Or the things that when you go back to it, it doesn't make you happy. It doesn't make you feel great. It doesn't inspire you. Because I was realizing that every time I went back to things that made me feel not great, that was just time. That was time I was spending, and I was choosing to
Yeah.
go to a dark place when I didn't have to. I could have gone to like that other voice memo that like actually had a chance to become something amazing. And then the more time you spend on those things, the yeah, possibility of leaving something crazy. Dude, before COVID, there you go.
Yeah.
Before COVID comes back, you're going to have those voice memos looking clean.
Oh yeah. You know it. And then, you know, there's an entire like there's probably like 10 to 20 songs that I wrote
Yeah.
when I was a lot younger
Yeah.
And some people know, like people around me and like that I've played them for, or whoever like saw me play the originals at like rock shows that I was involved in when I was younger,
Yeah.
like 10 years ago. I'm saying like 18, 17-year-old me, 16-year
Yeah.
old me,
Yeah.
completely different style of music, com- beautiful song, completely different song, you know, that there, some of those are never like, I don't, I don't see myself putting them out now,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because I don't like expressing myself in that
Mm.
style so much now, I guess. Or I don't know what
Yeah.
it is. Like it just doesn't fit well with everything that I'm doing.
Yeah.
My solution to that recently has been I'm just gonna make like 10 aliases, and then I can be every kind of musician that I want to be
Yeah.
because it's naturally coming out of me and I shouldn't have to stifle it,
Yep. That's right.
you know?
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
then just have it like there's OMCAT for like the math rock stuff that's super fun. And then there's like just me, and then there's like I don't know what even we're gonna call some of the other projects we have going on, and then we're doing like hip hop together,
Mm-hmm.
which
Mm-hmm.
is fun. And then I have written like six like super jazz, like fusiony electronic mix songs like in
Yeah.
quarantine.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't even know what to call that, but that has to come out because like I write it and I enjoy listening to it and I enjoy playing it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm, and then there's just more like there's like the lo-fi stuff. Like I just
Yeah. It's
it just occurred
endless.
to me. That's why the other day I was like, I love music so much. This is all I want to do because it's all just coming out.
Yeah.
It's all just coming through me.
Yeah.
And like I used to believe like no, I have to choose a style. To choose one style, like I have to stick with that.
Yeah.
Like that's who I am. Like that's how you need to know me as, you know.
Yeah. We don't even have to spend time. It's the same thing. It's like that's false, Armin. Like you don't even have to talk to me about that anymore. Like, like
Yeah,
dude, like
yeah.
it's so false that I'm like no. Like
No,
let's keep talking about hip hop. Let's keep talking about jazz. Let's keep talking about math rock and like name those things, man. And like put and like make a note on your phone and put it in there. And then like
yeah,
if you want it to happen, right? Make goals, right?
yeah,
We're going to have this needs a 3-song EP. This needs a full-length album. This needs one song, right? This needs 10 albums, whatever it is, right? But like until you become aware of like of all those different things and um and then start to commit, right? I think those things will feel unsettled, right? And you'll keep
yeah.
and you might keep going back to, hey, maybe I should have just picked one genre.
It's like
If
having
you don't
static,
yeah, if you don't get
like
into it, then
internal
you're going to
static.
keep going back to that like original thought. Like I still have trouble not going back to like you're tone deaf.
What?
Music is a hobby.
Oh,
Those
yeah,
things
I
are
know.
those things are things like that I've struggled with. Or like, dude, I used to write a lot of romantic songs, right? You can imagine. They're still there. There's still a vibe there.
I think you still write romantic songs, even if they're
Yeah.
not what everyone thinks of as what romantic
mm,
is. But I feel that like truly to the definition of what it means to be a romantic,
mm.
I feel that your music is romantic.
Well,
You could
some
even
people
be
I've been
talking
told
about
that
whatever.
I've been told that until I get through that romantic phase, my music wouldn't be successful. Dude, there's dark things, right? And so
Yeah,
when I go back to like things, right? It's like I can't even accept those things that people say. It's like, nah. Like just keep going like that gut feeling. Like why do you do that? Oh, like yeah, maybe you can adjust those things and keep growing and keep developing, but I can't just like music's a hobby.
yeah,
No.
yeah. It almost honestly like I relate to this so much because like my dad used to abuse me and like rage at me and like threaten me and stuff over the
mm,
fact that I was just playing music in my room.
mm,
he's like, oh, you're gonna be like, I don't know if you're cool with cursing on here. Are you cool with cursing on here?
Go for it.
It's like, you're gonna be a fucking loser. You're gonna be a fucking like, for every McJagger, there's 1,000 fucking dead losers, and you're gonna be one of them, you know?
Wow.
And like you're, like you're just gonna freeload off me the rest of your life. You're gonna be a fucking musician, huh? Like you're gonna be a fucking musician, like just like that kind of stuff. Like I heard on the Daily,
You
pretty
still
much.
hear it in your
And I
head.
yeah, and I still do, which sucks. And like even if I don't hear it in words, hear it in a feeling that I get
Yep.
after I perform. Which when I was younger and I was like all fiery, I
Yep.
used to get off stage and like tell people like people would be like, "Hey man, you did great," blah blah blah, and I'd like get the fuck off me, leave me alone, like
Mm.
get me a cigarette or get me a drink or something, and like
Mm.
just fuck off and like I
Wow.
want to die right now, like
Wow.
that like super edgy like but super
Yeah.
painful. Like I'm still experiencing it. I
Yep.
still experience that come up
Yep.
where I'm like, oh man, like this may have broken my gauge of did I do good?
Mm.
Like that just having that amount of like negative attention given towards something that should have been a positive attention
Yep.
thing.
Yep.
Like this should have been something that was totally supported,
Exactly.
you know?
Yep.
But my survival is threatened over it, and like my relationships with the people I love the most on this planet were like my parents was threatened over it.
Yep.
And in fact, like I don't have that same relationship with my parents partly because of that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I feel that loss, like I feel like, oh, I did the thing again. Like maybe there's like a part of me, like a little kid in there who feels like, oh man, you did the thing again that made them not like you.
Wow. No one else is gonna like you the way that they didn't like you, the way that they didn't accept you. That's bad, bro.
Or like
Yikes.
even if other people like me, like
They're
it
lying.
doesn't
Or like it
it
doesn't.
doesn't matter compared to like you lost the loves of your life.
Wow.
Like
So
I'm like
even if they did like you, it still can't even like try and make up or redeem.
the shotgun blast in my heart, and I like
Wow.
like the
Okay.
wound, the soul wound. Like
Yeah.
there's a soul wound there that I feel.
So you're not gonna fight for like other people's acceptance of your music. Like it seems like you're saying that probably won't help you because it's still just like so powerful that they didn't. What about the acceptance of yourself, realizing that it's valuable and that it is a part of you that can't be ignored?
Yeah, that's I feel like that's used to be a lot of like confusion there. And somebody just tried to come into this room.
It's all good.
Um,
Hanging.
but it's been a huge deal. Like first of all, everyone who has like it was weird because I'd get that response at home
Mm,
where like don't do this. And then my oldest brother was a musician who was following music, and he
mm,
would be supportive of me, you know.
mm.
And I
Wow.
looked up to him, and like I kind of owe him that, and
Mm,
like I owe him to say that in the podcast too. That like he absolutely was my hero when I was a kid. He
mm,
inspired me to be a musician, and I'm eternally grateful for that.
mm.
Gave me my first guitar, like told me not to listen to my dad, like
Yeah.
he's like, oh, that guy's just bitter. Don't listen to that guy. Like he used to be a composer and he didn't follow through. And like
Mm,
um, but to have the reflection from my friends who were like, hey, you have something here, like please don't stop. To
mm,
have like people come up to me and like show me the love that they felt naturally from music,
mm,
that I was like, I'm like kind of caretaking this thing, music, and like I give it to people, and people, not everybody has it naturally, and like people are very grateful for it to exist, and like so they would love, like they'd be like, hey, that's great, like keep doing that.
mm,
Like all of that helped me to accept in myself that like this is something that I want to do,
mm.
and like it's something that naturally, like even if I don't want to do it, it's naturally who I am.
Exactly.
Like this is a part of me as
Yeah.
natural as like my arm, as natural
Mm,
as my eyes. Like this this is part of my soul. This is like part of my connection to reality. I'm sure everybody has different versions of that. And like
Yeah.
music isn't the only thing that I have that's that way, but it's definitely like a heavy hitter, you know?
Hmm. Yeah.
And like I'm saying, like 2 days ago is probably like the first time that I said that out loud. Like
Yeah.
I've taken actions towards it in my life, and
Hmm.
I've always felt like super risky taking those actions.
Hmm.
Like even coming and asking to play at the Republic of Pi when I did. It
Yeah.
was like one of the first times I've asked to play out in a long time, you know?
Hmm.
And that acceptance, like from me, is what allows me to be able to do it. Like my acceptance of like the divine moving through me in music. And I'm like, this isn't up to me. This is up to like the divine or like nature or like whatever it is the one doing it. Like I can't say no.
Mm.
But then that pain still exists. Like
Of
that
course.
pain and the acceptance kind of, they're not mutually exclusive, you know? Like every step I take is that much heavier because I walk through, and I feel a lot of artists have that in common, that we walk through so much of like the shadow,
Mm.
so much of the darkness that was put there,
Hmm.
because what we do is so full of light. Like what we do is so sacred, and it changes the world. Like one of the only things that survives the sands of time is art. Like you look at Van Gogh's Starry Night and you're like, that's wow, you know?
Hmm.
You look at any of this stuff, you hear any of this music, even like folk songs. Like I'm Armenian and we have folk songs that have survived 3,000 years,
Mm.
and you hear them and they make you feel a certain way where you're like, wow,
Mm.
wow, like some guy was singing this up in the mountains like 2,000 years ago
Mm.
because his mom taught him to sing it. And then like he taught his kids and he taught his kids. And like
Mm.
there's it's just art and music survives everything. Like it's like eternal, you know? It's part of like the truth. And then it sucks to be hated for something that you can't help, or it
Yeah.
sucks to be treated like shit for something
Yeah.
that you can't help. Like even if it's, and people do it passively all the time. They're like, oh yeah, you're a musician, oh yeah, whatever. Like
Mm.
sure,
Mm.
you know, or you're an artist, like sure, sure, like everybody's an artist, you know. And it's like, yeah, dude, everyone is an artist actually.
Mm. Mm.
Everyone is an artist. They're just too scared to find out or treat whatever their art is like it's an art.
Mm.
Somebody's art's probably like, I'm like, there's an architect out there, that's his art. Like there's a builder out there, that's his art. Like he
Yeah.
literally like has the connection to it that I have with music. Like
Yeah.
he finds sacredness in building things.
Yeah.
Like there's just so many, like life is so full that it has so many options of like what art is to you. I'm like, if only, you know, if only the haters,
Yeah.
naysayers could see that. But then it doesn't even matter. Like now I'm at the point like, oh, it doesn't matter what you see and don't see. And it didn't matter to me when I was younger for me to move forward. It just mattered to like how much it hurt, you
Mm.
know, because the source of like that lack of acceptance was so close to my heart.
But not anymore. You don't need that story to do what you need to do.
Yeah,
It is a part of it, and
it's a part of it.
it might come up, but the story of you pushing through is just as powerful, if not more powerful. And the light that you bring now is way more attractive and way more powerful than the darkness. The darkness might get attention, right? And it's really good to be like, to validate that that's real, because now you see it in other people, right? When like other people are in pain, you know it. You're like, yep,
Yeah,
I've been there. It's really
yeah,
important. But yeah, I think you have an opportunity to share like really, really um, beautiful light, light like a whole spectrum because you've been through so much.
yeah. It's not. It's like kind of like not even me. Like the same thing as the songs. It's kind of like I'm just showing up for this gig.
Yeah.
Like I'm
Yeah.
just showing up for the thing. Like it's happening. Like somebody needs to like carry the mantle like that we all carry. Like we're all carrying
Mm,
a part of it,
yeah.
you know.
And then you
Like
pass it to someone else.
this lifetime, I just get to carry this bit of it, and that's cool, you know. And like I
Yeah.
think about it, I'm like, there's so many now that I'm getting older too. Like I'm not old or anything, but like just gaining the perspective of more time spent on this planet. Like I just turned
Mm.
27. I clearly like have experienced more than I did at 17 or 16 or 18. I've got to see how me giving the support that I wish I had to those around me and that I eventually did receive. I eventually did receive that support. I receive it from my family today, like my
Wow.
chosen family today. I
Yep.
received it from you. I've received it from all the kind strangers in my life that gave me kind words. You know, I've received it from my fiance. I've received
Yeah.
it from those little kids at George's Cucina Italiana who
Mm-hmm.
were like, "You're the best," and took a
Yeah.
picture with me. You know, and that like it's real. Like the support has been there, and then now I get to see how much it meant for me to follow my gut.
That's all right.
Like I get to see I helped Cameron like Cameron wrote that song last night, and I remember when Cameron was going through the same doubts that I was going through, where he was like, I don't know if I should pick up the guitar again. Like I don't know if I can follow. Like I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can sing, or I don't know. You know, and like I just feel like there's so many people in my life that I have been so grateful that this music has worked through me to inspire them,
Mm.
that I got to show up for them, and then they got to be awesome. Like they got to learn how to express themselves that way and like carry on the fire, like this sacred
Yes.
fire, you know? And it's super cool. It's just a super cool thing to be a part of. And like when I think of that, when I think of those aspects of it, I don't really care so much about like all the like pain and darkness, but like you can't shut the door on that stuff. Is what I've learned. Like I can't shut the door on it. It's kind of why I don't delete those old voice memos because I'm like I'm not gonna tell
Mm.
the part of me that wrote that. I'm not gonna because that person exists in here. Like I feel like they're
Yeah.
like trees. You know how like trees have all the rings from
That's
before.
right. That's right.
I'm like I can't tell that me.
Mm.
No, you shouldn't exist, man. Like
Mm.
like no, I wish you never were because that's what they were telling me. Like that's me.
Mm.
Can't do that. So like if
Ah.
I can tell him like, hey, I'm not gonna put you on a loudspeaker right now and
Yeah.
broadcast you to the world,
Yeah.
but I'm not gonna like shut you down.
As
Um,
long as you don't stay there, though, right?
yeah, I feel like standing
Because
still
there
will
is a
help.
new place that you also need to go to in order to grow and to move. And
Always.
if those old things ever keep you in that, then that's when it's time.
Oh yeah, and speaking of which, the next time you see OMCAT, Cameron and Troy are probably gonna be singing a
Good.
bunch of stuff with me,
Good.
which is excellent. And like that
Yes.
makes me so happy to think about. I'm like, I did a good thing, you know?
Mm.
And
Yep.
like I feel like it's that little kid in me who's being told he's doing a bad thing, sees like the
Mm.
positive things in life that came through, and then he's like, I did a good thing. It's
Definitely.
actually a good thing I did, you know?
You did a good thing. I'm here to tell you too.
Like
And
gives me cause to rejoice.
today you've done a good thing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for talking with me and sharing your story and your heart. And um, dude, I wish you all the best, man. And you're amazing.
You too. And yeah, like all of it, you too, man. Like
Mm. Yeah.
all those doubts, they're real. But like I'm here to tell you, you're you're on the right path with all this stuff. Follow your heart. It has changed my life to hear your music.
Mm.
It has changed my life to know you in the best way possible. And like anyone out there who's listening to this thing, if you feel weird and you feel like you're not getting the support, go to where the love is. Like you're gonna
Mm.
have to risk it again. Talk to your friends. You're gonna have to risk it again. Like there's no way to not risk it and get the love
Mm.
again. But like find a place, just keep putting yourself out there and find the place where there is that support to eventually counteract all the bullshit that people try to give you, or like the darkness to give you, I guess.
That's exactly
Because
right. Dude,
it's a big deal.
it's a big deal. You've heard it here from Armen. Follow your heart or die.